It's a Manchu. I'm back at last. You may have been wondering what I was up to. Well, this is what I've been up to. A while ago, I did a series on Skyblock, playing a Bedrock Edition map of Skyblock and a Java Edition Skyblock map. The Java Edition Skyblock map was by Dr. Trog, and it was excellent. The Bedrock Edition map was not so good, and I said at the time, hey, if anybody knows of a better Skyblock map for Bedrock Edition, let me know. And guess what? I found one. A map for Skyblock in Bedrock Edition that actually doesn't stink. That's really good. And I'm going to see what happens when I spend 100 days in this Skyblock for Bedrock Edition. It starts out in a pretty typical way. I'm on this island with one tree and a chest with just a lava bucket and a block of ice. And that's all I get. On day one, I made a cobblestone generator. Collected 3 logs from the tree, leaving the rest for later. That's enough for crafting table and a wooden pick. Mined 3 cobblestone and immediately made a stone pick. I'll never use another wooden tool. Using up my first stone pick gave me enough cobbles to start expanding the island. Very carefully, I used a water stream to place a slab under the island, then expanded the island with lower half slabs. Oh, and it started to snow. Apparently the starting island is in a snowy plain, so water can freeze. So that's fun. Fortunately, the water source for the cobble generator is underneath the starting chest, preventing it from freezing. Unfortunately, snow layers are going to build up on everything. I don't want a bunch of snow blocks, but I have them. After using up the cobble slabs, I finally break down the rest of the tree and get 1 sapling. It's enough to keep me going. I spread out the dirt of the island and then go back to mining cobblestone. As the second day is starting, I decide to construct a new cobblestone generator out of cobblestone at the edge of the island. There isn't any more dirt in the skyblock, so I don't want to waste dirt blocks in a cobblestone generator. A new tree grows and I get an apple. Yay, food! I spend the rest of day 2 and all of day 3 mining cobblestone and harvesting trees. Mostly mining though, because the trees aren't growing very fast. On day 4, armed with a ton of cobblestone, I platform over to a sand cover island in the distance. This is the only other island in this Skyblock map as far as I know. On the island I find the mother lode. A second water source, sugarcane, and a chest with seeds for melon, pumpkin, and beetroot, and also bamboo and 10 obsidian. I bring back all this loot, but night falls before I can come back with a bucket for the water source. So I celebrate my new treasures by mining cobblestone all night. As the sun rises on day 5, I race over to the second island and putt around building a slab platform under it. I don't know why, maybe because I've been awake for 4 days and I'm not thinking straight. Then I grab the second water source in my bucket and run back to the starting island, where I build a well for an infinite water source. There's a roof over the well to keep water from freezing. Then I plant the seeds that I found in a little farm. With a little dirt that I have to work with, a teeny little farm is the best I can do. A giant tree grows, thank God. I've been desperately short on wood since day 1. I spend half the night chopping it down, turning wood logs into charcoal. On day 6, I make a composter and throw in the extra saplings from the giant tree, just enough to give me 1 bone meal. With that, I make some grass grow and break it to give me 3 seeds. Now I can plant wheat. The next thing I want to make is a mob grinder. For that, I need about a stack of wood logs. While I wait for the trees to grow, I go back to the cobble generator for the rest of the day. I don't have quite enough wood for the trapdoors yet, but the mob grinder is going to be mostly made of cobble. I have plenty of that, and I'm sick of waiting for the trees to grow, so I start building the thing on day 7. I spend all day on day 8 building it, and by the morning of day 9, it's all done but for the water streams. Heading down for more water, I find a fresh layer of snow over everything, and some wolves. There are also a few axolotl. The spawning mechanics for axolotl are different in this map, so that they can spawn in any underground water source. Axolotl also drop amethyst shards. I finish up the mob grinder near the end of day 9, and head back down to the bottom, same as last time, although this time I somehow miss the water at the bottom and almost die. I finish it up by placing trapdoors around the bottom because the map creator is a sadistic bastard who thought it'd be funny to make cave spiders spawn naturally. On day 10, it's snowing again. I think while I was building mob grinder, some sheep spawned, but the wolves killed them. Then some white foxes spawned and picked up the wool blocks in their cute little teeny mouths. Curse those adorable white fuzzballs. On the bright side, I'm getting great stuff from the mob grinder. bows, a few arrows, some armor, bones, and even amethyst shards. The fall damage kills the axolotls. I'm not responsible for that. A wandering trader showed up in the evening. He felt bad that I couldn't afford anything he was selling, so he offered me some free leather and leads out of sympathy. On day 11, I get a special visitor. It's the map creator, Wraith. Well, not really. Just a special wandering trader with some trades I can afford. He wants charcoal for cocoa beans and stone for netherwort. While smelting up that stuff to sell him, I give him a piece of my mind about the cave spiders. He seems unmoved. I also get a melon and pumpkin to grow, allowing me to expand the farm a little. The stone is taking a while to smelt, so I decide to convert the string from the mob grinder into wool, make a bed, and sleep at last. I wake up on day 12 and Wraith is gone. I got some cocoa beans, but didn't have a chance to buy the netherwort. Oh well, I'm sure he'll be back eventually. Out of frustration, I test the regular wandering trader to see if he can fly. He can't. I spend the rest of day 12 and all of day 13 mining cobblestone, harvesting trees, tending crops, and stabbing mobs in the drop chute. My long-term goal is to get villagers, but there's a lot of steps to get there, and I'll need a little luck too. I know it will require a crap ton of cobblestone, but for now I'm sick of mining cobblestone. So on day 14, I decide to get started with the next step, which is to go to the nether. I carefully build a portal with the 10 obsidian blocks, knowing that one misplaced block will be a huge setback. I carefully collect the lava in a bucket, knowing from past experience that one misclick could destroy the lava source and it would be game over. But all goes to plan and the portal is lit. I head to the nether to find myself on a tiny island with one warp nylium block, one crimson nylium block, and a very small amount of netherrack. I proceed to add safety rails around the portal. On day 15, I begin to build 2 spawning platforms, 30 blocks apart from each other. These will serve as my poor man's gold farm. I'm going to need enough gold to make 2 golden apples, and more to barter with piglins and the special wandering trader. So I'll probably be here a while. I need to head back to the overworld for more cobblestone to finish the platforms, and find a Ziglin that's come through ahead of me. I carefully shoot at it, figuring I can take on one Ziglin. Sure, but I didn't carefully look around first to see if the Ziglin had any friends. It turns out he wasn't alone, and his buddy Ziglin stabbed me in the back with a magic sword. Game over. Except, not really game over, because this is Bedrock Edition and there is no hardcore in Bedrock. I was hoping I could make it through 100 days without dying, but I didn't. I'm not that good. All it really cost me was a stack of arrows, which disappeared who knows where. Now thoroughly humbled, back in the nether I put up fence gates to hopefully keep Ziglins that spawn on the portal island from wandering through to the overworld. Lesson learned. With the 2 platforms complete, I start to grind for gold. On day 17, some piglins spawn on the platform, and I can't resist bartering with them. Please be gravel, please be gravel, please be gravel. Fire charge, 2 netherrack, and some leather. Then I remembered how much gold I needed before I can afford to waste it bartering with piglins. After a quick trip to the overworld and back, I find a wandering trader has come through to the nether, and he's selling brown mushrooms. This trader is really, really important to me. I need him to not despawn, so I shove him back to the overworld. I spend the next 4.5 days grinding for gold, finally collecting 25 gold ingots. That should be just enough. I also pick up a crossbow with piercing from a piglin. It's not an infinity bow, but if used properly, I'll be able to recover arrows I use. This is a big deal because I have very few arrows at the moment. On day 23, I return to the overworld with my treasure. The same wandering trader is still there. I shove him through the portal back to the nether, then go back to mining cobblestone. I'm going to need a lot of it, and I may as well grind away at it while I wait for the special trader to come back. The grind of mining cobble, stabbing mobs in the drop chute, and harvesting crops and trees continues for the next 9 days. On day 24, a zombie gives me a potato. I happily plant a row in the crop field. On day 28, the special trader shows up again. Unfortunately, the trades are things I don't need or can't afford. I really, really need an emerald. Maybe next time. Some sheep appear. I set up a pen for them so that hopefully no wolves will be able to get to them. I have a few iron ingots from zombie drops so I can make shears and start collecting wool from the sheep too. And with shears I can make some jack-o'-lanterns. It's not my favorite kind of lighting, but it beats torches. On day 31 a zombie gave me a carrot, so I planted a row of carrots alongside the potatoes and wheat. It's a puny little farm, but until I get more dirt, it's the best I can do. By now I've collected a double chest full of cobblestone. I'm waiting for the special trader to show up and sell me an emerald. Until that happens, I can't make any more progress toward getting villagers. While I wait, I guess I can start working on building a trade hall / iron farm. At first I don't think I have much choice in building materials, but it's more than just cobblestone and oak wood. I can smelt the cobblestone to make stone, smelt the stone to make smooth stone. With stone I can make stone brick. I have shears, which means I can farm some vines that occasionally grow on oak trees. With vines I can make mossy stone brick. I also collected a little snow from cleaning up the island after snow falls. I can make a snow golem and produce all the snow blocks I can use. This is what Skyblock is all about to me, figuring out creative ways to make the best use of the limited resources you have. I also considered farming warped and crimson fungi, but I'm reluctant to do that unless I can move the nylium away from the portal, or move the portal away from the nylium. I lack the technology to do that right now. On day 37, a phantom appeared. I had the impression that phantoms didn't spawn in Snowy Plains biome. I haven't slept since day 12, and this is the first phantom to show up. I'm guessing I must have wandered into a different biome while building the trade hall. On day 38, a pillager patrol appeared. I'm not too worried about bad omen yet. I'm still a long way from having a village. On day 40, some wolves managed to find a way into the sheep pen. It's lucky I already collected enough wool for the beds in the iron farm. I'm pretty cross at the wolves, but I decided to tame them anyway. It's pretty lonely on the island. I could use some friends. I also get a cow in place of the sheep. At least I can get rid of the bad omen effect, if necessary. With the iron farm / trade hall complete, I go back to getting cobblestone from day 42 until day 44. On day 44, I return to the Nether in search of a fortress. There isn't a fortress structure per se, but Wraith website notes the coordinates for spawning locations of a Nether fortress. I have to build the structure for the mobs to spawn on myself, but the coordinates are about 1,600 blocks from the portal. I really did need a ton of cobblestone to get there. It takes 7 days to reach the right spot and come up with a workable spawning chamber to get the Nether Fortress mobs to appear. Mammoth cubes are a bit of trouble, but it works well enough. I collect almost a dozen blaze rods and head back home. Finally, on day 53, I'm back to the overworld. I now have everything I need to cure a zombie villager except one thing. I need a brown mushroom to make a fermented spider eye. The only way I can think of to get it is to buy it from a wandering trader. To do that I need an emerald, which I can get if the special trader shows up and happens to be selling emeralds. Make a little ice farm while I wait, and then continue to wait. And wait. And wait! On day 62, a pillager patrol takes me by surprise. At first I think a skeleton had somehow showed up somewhere that I failed to light up properly. By the time I figure out what's happening and get my head in the game, that's my second death in the Skyblock, and I'm starting to get pretty frustrated. I decide to use one of my precious iron ingots to make a shield, and go back to waiting for the special trader. On day 65, I take a short trip to the Nether to grow a little warp fungi. I don't have anything in mind to do with it just now, but I'm bored and wanted to change the scenery. I'm back to the overworld by day 66, and putter around until day 70, when I take another trip to the Nether, spending most of that day collecting coal in the fortress. From day 72 to day 78, I mess around bridging out 3,900 blocks to a mushroom fields biome. I had the idea that I could get some mushrooms and breed them for a 1 in 1,000 chance of a baby brown mushroom. Only after I get there and make a platform do I realize that Mushroom cows only spawn on mycelium. So that was a waste of 6 days. I spend the next 3 days mostly in the nether, bridging over to a warped forest biome and making a spawning platform so I can collect some ender pearls. On day 82, I make an Eye of Ender and use it to try and find the end portal. I figure at this point, I'm not going to get emeralds anyplace else but from an end city. For the next 12 days, I mess around collecting more ender pearls, making more Eyes of Ender, and bridging out over the void in search of an end portal. All of this was futile. At last, on day 94, I find what should be the right spot according to the Eyes of Ender, but there's nothing there. Finally, I have to ask around and race Discord for help. Something I should have done much sooner. It turns out the actual end portal is located somewhere else. It is far. By day 95, I've run out of cobblestone, only 1/3 of the way toward the actual end portal. Dejected, I return to my island to grind for more. On day 99, I have far less blocks than I need to bridge to the end portal, so instead, I start working on improving the hostile mob farm, adding a second layer and scaffolding. During the night, a few phantoms harass me, but I do get a phantom membrane out of it. I finally finished the renovations to the mob farm on day 105. Looking back on my first 105 days, I'm really frustrated by how little I've managed to accomplish. I have a decent hostile mob farm, the beginnings of a storage building, and an empty trade hall / iron farm without villagers. That's about it. So much time was wasted in futile efforts to get a brown mushroom or emeralds. I wanted to beat the game by now and I'm not even close. I start to think this Skyblock map is just as bad as every other Skyblock map for Bedrock. Only now do I ask on Wraith's Discord if I'm overlooking something. It turns out there is another way to get emeralds, something that's been staring me in the face all this time, and I just did not see it. I'm talking about foxes. I never mess around much with foxes. They only appear in certain biomes that I don't usually spend much time in. They have some unusual behaviors and mechanics. There's a 20% chance of a fox having an item in its mouth when it appears. One of the items it can have is an emerald. It translates to a net 1% chance of any fox that appears having an emerald. I haven't seen any foxes in a long time, probably because of the mob cap. There's a limit to how many mobs can be within simulation distance. If that limit is reached, more mobs will not appear. In addition to an overall mob cap, there are individual limits for different types. In Bedrock Edition, the mob cap for animals is 4. I have a cow and 3 dogs on the island, so I move these animals to the desert island 200 blocks away. After doing this, I get lots of animals. Pigs, chickens, wolves, sheep, more cows, and foxes. I move a select few away to the desert island, and murder the others to free up the mob cap. After 15 days of wholesale slaughter of cute furry animals, I get some drops from the foxes. Rabbit hides, leather, feathers, eggs, wheat, and even a rabbit foot. But no emeralds. I've had my fill of murdering furry critters, and by day 120, I've accumulated 17 stacks of wood logs. I figured this should be just enough to finish bridging out to the end portal. On day 121, I go back to bridging across the void. On day 128, I actually reach it. It's pretty far below my platform. Fortunately, the portal isn't lit, so I can place scaffolding to get down to it, then make a platform at the level of the portal, and move the scaffolding out of the way. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any Eyes of Ender with me. Instead of spending a half-hour real time running back, I decide to throw myself into the void, just as the sun is coming up on day 129. I spend a few days preparing the best I can to fight the dragon, and on day 133 I set out toward the end portal. At the end of day 134, I actually get there, set my spawn point next to the portal, and leap through to the end. I've beaten the end dragon many times, but usually with full diamond gear, an enchanted diamond sword, and maxed out infinity bow. This time I have a mixture of chainmail and leather armor with whatever weak enchantments I could get. Can I beat the End Dragon this poorly equipped without dying?
How about no?
First I fail the old MLG bucket trick. Then she whacks me as I try to recover all my stuff. I make another failed MLG bucket attempt before figuring out I should probably just put water down at the base of the tower before climbing up. Man, I suck. That works out for me until the End Dragon destroys my water source. Fortunately, I made some tunnels to hide in. Unfortunately, the dragon decided to fly through the ground and kill me in the tunnel. Several times. This weird glitch happened where the dragon turned invisible and invulnerable for a bit. I had to quit the game and reload to fix it. Then one more death, when some fool Enderman wandered in front of my sword as I was swinging at the dragon. At last, after so much grind and frustration, on day 137, the end was freed. I then teleported to the outer islands looking for end cities. There were two very close by with ships and a smaller city not much farther out. Raiding the end cities wasn't too dangerous with a slow, cautious approach. I found 2 elytra, full diamond armor, 6 diamonds, and 8 emeralds. Yes, I have emeralds at last. There were some ender chests I couldn't pick up without silk touch, but I went ahead and broke them for 8 obsidian each. All went pretty smoothly. After raiding the 3 end cities, I was down to only a handful of arrows, so it was time to head back. Unfortunately, due to my fear of looking at the Enderman, I didn't slow my descent enough, and I had to get another ender pearl so I could get back to my stuff. The Endermen were being difficult about it. They would teleport away after getting hit, then despawn. Eventually I did get 1 pearl, got back to my loot, and returned to the center island. Before leaving, I collected some stacks of obsidian with my shiny new enchanted diamond pick. Finally I returned to the overworld and flew home. It took 144 days, but I've beaten the end. I have full diamond armor and a few emeralds. It feels like at last some options are opening up. Earlier I said that to get villagers I would have to get lucky. Obviously, I didn't. I wanted so badly for this Skyblock map to be different from the other Skyblock maps I've tried. I see great potential in it. But as with so many other examples, I was held back by one crucial thing that proved impossible to obtain. I feel like this map is still a work in progress, but it wouldn't take much to make it great. The special trader seems broken. I never saw him after day 28. Even if I had, there was only one wandering trader that ever sold brown mushrooms, and it eventually despawned despite my efforts. I would like to continue playing with this map to see what more I can accomplish in the next 100 days, but this video took a long time to make. I'll only continue with it if there's strong interest. If it's something you want to see, or you'd like to see me try a 100-day Skyblock and Java Edition map, like this video and leave a comment. If you're curious to see what I do next, whether it's more Skyblock or going back to my Bedrock vs. Java survival series, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching Aman Juz's Skyblock Bedrock Edition.